everybody, Eric Dorward here at the Spartan Rocketry Club, and I'm continuing my build of the Estes Black Brant II here, and we are to the point of finishing. So in the intervening time, I've done a few things. I finished up preparing the fins, so they got their fill, they got their clear coat. The whole rocket got primed, which I sanded down between each of those steps, and then I put a coat of gloss white on this. So this part of the rocket is, well, painted. It's done, basically. It's alright. There's a little bit of a run here. Fortunately, I think this is going to get covered up by a decal, which is good news. Just be careful when you're painting around launch lugs. For whatever reason, launch lugs seem to draw runs to them. They probably actually cause it, but in any event, so this, hopefully this video is pretty short, but what I need to do now is I need to do a little bit of black painting. I separately painted the nose cone, so this is done. It didn't go particularly well, honestly. There's a lot of blistering. It's not really noticeable blistering, fortunately, but it's not great, and I'm going to try to avoid that with the rest of the rocket. Okay, so anyway, speaking of that, the rest of the rocket, going back to, so here's the box art, right? We need to do the bottom part down here. So this section in between the fins, that would be everything below this little seam, and the fins themselves need to be painted black. Everything else, I mean, this looks like a difficult checkerboard kind of thing to do. Fortunately, all that is decals. The nose cone, you know, that's done. That needs to be black as well, but for our purposes here, all we really need to do is mask off this part and then the rest of the body tube. So I'm going to use, I think I should be able to do this all with my ultra sharp lines, kind of fabric-y masking tapes. So I need that. A little dusty. I'm going to start by masking off around fins here, so just kind of a top part. And I'm going to use the fins themselves as a guide to try to get this straight. It doesn't really need to be straight, but it would be nice. So, using the edge of the fins as a guide, you should be able to get this pretty straight. That looks pretty good. Apparently there's a little bit of a paint blister there too of some sort, or at least a deformity. That's fine, not a big deal. Alright, so that's good enough, and now I need to get this part. Now the problem is, I'm pretty sure that my tape is wider than that. So, well, I don't know. We'll find out. I'm going to cut a little bit of this. I don't need very much. I only need like 3 inches or so. So, like that should be way more than I need. And I'm going to cut that, but not great apparently. There we go. Anyway, I'm gonna try test fitting this first. It might actually be passable. So I want this to line up right with this seam here. I'm not gonna try to cover in the crack part. That would be, I don't think that would go too well. So I'm just gonna try to line it up. Obviously I want the fin out, so I'm gonna tape into the seam there like so. And I'm going to try to line it up with that point. Alright, so this is a little bit too wide. That's okay. I was thinking that I might have to cut this in half long ways and then use the halves to mask off, but I think I should be okay. You know what, I think I am going to do that. That's probably a better plan. Cuts out some potential spots for the paint to seep through. Now I don't need to cut this exactly in the middle. All I need is to have, that's going to be unpleasant with the launch lug. We'll get to that. Anyway, I just need to have this seam, oops. The cut itself is going to go on the inside, right? So this is the part that I cut. It's probably not perfectly straight, but that doesn't matter, because this is the part that was the edge of the tape to begin with. That part's straight. And I just need to make sure that I'm using that outside in both cases, which shouldn't be too big of a deal. Again, I'm just going to put this in right to the crack, and I didn't quite line that up right. Looks like, well, it actually looks like I didn't quite get the first piece of tape in the right place. That I will deal with here momentarily. Alright, so I got some overlap, and that's fine. I didn't get it exactly in the same place, also fine. I don't actually like that. That is not as good as it should be. Let's try that again. Try not to need to do this, but you know, if you do, you get a couple good uses out of the tape before the adhesive doesn't stick as well. And when the adhesive doesn't stick as well, that's when you're likely to get the paint seeping in places you don't want it to seep. Alright, that's pretty good. Now, there is a little bit of a, it's not quite lined up. I could try peeling it back with my fingernail. I could also go get a hobby knife and just carefully cut that, but I don't think I'm going to bother, honestly. That's pretty good at the moment. This side is the same approach. Shouldn't really be a big deal. The launch lug, actually that's not a problem either, because the launch lug is going to get painted, so I don't need to mask over that. That is, masking over launch lugs is not great fun, honestly, because whatever you do, you're going to end up, like the tape is going to fold over, there are going to be pockets of air in there. And it's not that the air pockets themselves are the problem, you just end up usually not getting a straight cut out of it, and that can be a problem. Anyway, so I'm not going to do all three of these on camera, because it's just repetitive. You don't really need to see that. That actually looks like I did a better job on that one. That's great. And repeat the process. Nope, that wasn't very straight at all. Alright, that's better. Alright, there is a little bit of white sticking out there. If I really, really want to, I could get a piece of tape and cover over that, but I don't think I'm going to bother. That's not really worth it. Alright, so there's one more face I need to do. I'm not going to do that on camera. This part here needs to be covered over with paper. I usually just use this computer paper that's sitting around. Here's another set of instructions. Just wrap it like this. I tape it here and here, and usually down there to hold it in place. That's kind of it. So it's off to the paint shop with this after I mask off this little bit, and then decal time. So I will see you in the next video for final steps. See you then.